Lost Ark Slayer first look in gameplay, new class in Lost Ark, of course. And this is by don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Sio. Subscribe, like, doing that. He actually is like some of the best for news related stuff on Lost Ark. Like he's, I think, number one. I'm gonna be honest. See what he says.
Alright, so Slayer. Very first impressions. She has her own cat
I'm sorry, that's such a good first impression. you know, like they know their audience. Let's just say that.
category and her own throne. Oh, this is so good. She's like a barbarian clan leader.
Yeah, like a matriarch.
Super cool idea. Slay Arena.
Yep.
Power Pass. I believe this is a different trailer than the male warriors have. Imagine having him
I
as
actually
your
don't
dad.
remember it.
How are we looking? How does default armor look on her?
It's surprising
I
how
think she's pretty
modest it is.
nice. I think the armor fits her.
Doesn't
What
look
about
bad
this
though.
one that we get as we boost up?
Of course. Of
In terms of
course.
gameplay, pretty similar to the Berserker. Of course, I haven't yet discovered the full potential of the class. But if you've been playing Berserker before, most likely you won't have any troubles getting acquainted with the Slayer. There are a couple of skills like this one, which is one of those fiery ones that you've seen in the
It's not
trailers.
bad.
As for the Awakening skill, this is one of them.
Holy, look at the screen. Like it actually like looks like you're cutting into the screen. That's man, Lost Ark has like some of the best looking abilities in gaming. I think like across the board.
Pretty nice, pretty unique also. And
Yeah.
the second one would be this one.
Are you oh my god, you become a freaking raid boss. Look how happy he is. He is just so happy with what he's saying. I don't blame him. This looks insane. It makes me want to go back to Lost Ark, but then I just remember like honing and like the toxic like culture when it comes to like the rating and stuff. I'm just like, why do you have such a bad game with such awesome gameplay and graphics? Well, not graphics exactly, but like animations.
Oh my lord.
That was
This
so
one's so
crazy.
badass. We're gonna use it again.
Yeah, look at this.
The identity skill works
So
in a
cool.
very similar way to the
I wish Final Fantasy's limit breakers like for DPS looked that cool.
Berserker as well. You activate it and it's a gauge that depletes itself over time, slower or faster based on which class engraving you're currently using. We're gonna get to that in a moment. And you also have the skill with an additional press of the button that activates the identity skill that looks very similar to the Berserker as well.
Yeah.
As I'm activating my identity skill, I get a buff which increases my movement speed and attack speed by 20% each, and also my crit chance by 30%, which is a super cool buff to have, right? Now,
That's huge.
based on my class engraving, and we need to talk about these two as well.
I wonder if he knows how to read Korean with how much he's played it.
One of them, this one, which is called translated as the Executioner, it gives me a buff that increases the damage that I do, this buff right here, the damage that I do by 25% while I am in this runaway state with my innate ability active, right? But at the same time, it also increases the amount of gauge that is depleted from every tick by 50%, so it gets consumed faster, thus I am fewer time in my innate form, and also reduces the amount of gauge acquisition from using regular skills by 25%.
So it's basically really good for anything with burst windows versus a long engaged fight.
So it's harder to fill it up, a little bit harder than compared to not having this class engraving, and it also consumes faster. However, when it does consume, there is no cooldown to gaining gauge again from using regular skills, right? The other class engraving is translated as Predator, and it's sort of the opposite of the Executioner, where if I press my innate, I am still getting the same basic buff, which is 20% more movement speed, 20% more attack speed, and 30% crit chance, but the class engraving buff is different. I'm getting a 40% increase in crit damage as opposed to a 25% increase
I think I prefer the crit damage.
in damage. There is still a gauge which every tick takes a smaller amount from the total gauge compared to the executioner engraving, but at the same time every 3 seconds I'm getting a debuff on the right hand side, which is a 10% increase in the amount of gauge consumed per natural tick. However, if I'm using the predator engraving with the help of skills, I can actually get gauge back. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit every time I use my skills.
Yeah, I definitely prefer that one.
So the more uptime you have with this build, the better it is. To be noted that specialization, for example, this one increases the amount of gauge I gain by using normal skills by, for example, at 1850 by 105%. Also, it increases the skill damage by 26.46%, which is the second line there, during runaway state. Overall, first impressions, I think it feels
Pretty
really
good.
nice to play. The dash itself is just a simple dash forward, pretty nice, and the rest of the skills feel cool, fast. It's not
Impactful.
clunky at
Yeah.
all. I've tried various skills in between recording this video, and they all seem to feel pretty decent. Even the ones that you actually have to charge, they just feel nice and powerful, and they charge at a decent speed. Currently I'm playing with these stats, a little bit of swiftness, I'm maxed out on spec, and I also have a little bit of crit. So I'm gonna give the Slayer a thumbs up, and I'm gonna leave you guys with some actual gameplay so you can get a better feel of how the class sounds and looks in actual combat. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you really soon. Take care.
So I'm just gonna end it there because I'm not gonna really, like, he showed enough combat while he was talking to get a good overview, and yeah, looks really good. I really wish I could be like getting into the game, but I just don't like. I don't mind pay to win stuff, honestly. I just don't like. My main gripe was the honing system and the toxic like community. And I'm not saying the whole community is like that, but like I just kept running into toxic player after toxic player, and it just got tiring. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. Even the botting thing, like I didn't care too much. So it's like, okay, fine. Like the gold I farmed on my own like is practically nothing, which was going to be the case anyways, because so many people were taking advantages of loot, like of their knowledge from the Korean server, that there were people like just insanely rich when I played. So, but no, really solid video. Looks really cool, especially those awakening abilities. See if we can go back and see them.
Slower or faster based on. As for the awakening skill, this
Here
is
it
one
is.
of them.
That one's
Pretty
just
nice,
really,
pretty
really
unique
cool.
also.
But honestly,
And
the next one, this one, that is so crazy, man. Freaking awesome. Okay. Yeah, really good video though.